Hello, Galaxy! I'm Chris Pirillo, and you've tuned in to another live edition of the Locker Room Daily Report, or TLDR for short. And the topic of conversation today is me, once again, addressing some rather well-intentioned yet slightly not informed comments. It's my opinion, just like it may be your opinion. There are certainly some facts in the mix, but I definitely want to start out by saying thank you for A, subscribing, B, turning on notifications. I wasn't sure if they would go out in time. I think you hit the bell icon, or whatever YouTube's decided to make the icon. Tomorrow it's probably going to be a poo emoji. Tap the poo emoji to get updates. Now, don't go looking for a poo emoji. There's currently no poo emoji that I know of. So thank you for turning on notifications to be aware that this live edition is going out to the people watching. Also, thank you to my members. I appreciate your support. We're up to 71. A big 7-1. Which to me is huge. Really, because we've only been at it for about a week trying this. 71 members. Honestly, that kind of blows me away. Given how many people usually tune in for a live stream, that's a fantastic ratio. I can only do TLDR because of members like these. You can become a part of the live chat, do the Chris Pirillo emoji. I'm going to be posting some exclusive content to them as well. Things that I'm not going to make public in any other way. So I appreciate the support. I know a lot of people seem to remember that, when TLDR was fully broadcast before I had the crowdfunding option, that it was amazing, and it may have been for you, but we never achieved traffic levels, and largely because of my style of doing video. Very, very long form, very talky. So the way that we're going to be able to continue it is, with your support. I appreciate everybody being here and a part of chat, including Liz. Pez Liz is now a member. It's a big deal. We're still, I don't know, I wouldn't say we're working together. I just don't have any a team right now. Apart from my Creator Decks team, we had our one of our meetings today. I'm very excited to tell you that it's getting there. Oh, I'm so excited. So Creator Decks is a platform that I've envisioned, or part of a platform we're going to launch with, that I've envisioned for years, for my peers, for people like me. No, not Star Wars fans. Creators. Although there are creators who are Star Wars fans. Content creators. People like me. People who love sharing their passions and interests online. So expect to hear more about that soon. So now, let's go ahead and get to what I know you really want to talk about. How do I join and become a member? Well, you press the join button on the YouTube page. Oh, that's not what you wanted to talk about? Oh, I apologize. Let's see here. What did I title this video? Let me check. Did you like my thumbnail? I'm pretty good at that. Why the first iPhone won because of software, not hardware. So, what I meant by what I said a couple of minutes ago, some people have an idea that the iPhone was an amazing piece of hardware, and that's why it won. That is wholly inaccurate. Now, I don't mean holy as in, holy cow! I mean like wholly as in, on the whole. Holy. But this is funny to me, because, and here's why. First of all, I think it's wrong to say that the iPhone won because of hardware, not software. That's inaccurate. Two, what's funny is people who make that comment today were exactly the same people 10 years ago who were saying that the iPhone wasn't going to win because it had lackluster hardware, by comparison to its contemporaries. So it's funny. No matter what I say, no matter how many times I beat the drum, someone commented yesterday, it was funny, I did let the comment go through. They say, hey, let's do a drinking game. Every time Chris says, I'm a software guy, not a hardware guy, take a drink. So there you go. Trust me, you guys are going to be blitzed in like 5 minutes. So hope you have something to get blitzed on. So the thing that I feel is important to talk about at this stage is how that's a myth. It's a myth. I was there. I was one of the people who was poo-pooing Apple. Who was saying, remember my now infamous first iPhone video? Do you remember that? Go and watch it. It's still online. It's embarrassing. It was so painfully embarrassing to watch. I can't even watch it anymore. It was like when live.pirillo.com was happening. That's how old. Oh, welcome new member Sujoy Mitra. Appreciate your support. Thank you for joining us. And now you can join us live in chat in this very video. So many nerds think it's about hardware and they concentrate only on the hardware, like the chassis, right? That's nothing. Like if there's no engine, right? I'm not just talking about the hardware. I'm talking about the glue that binds it all together. The hardware exists. There's a piece of silicon in there, right? In this phone, this pocket computer, this PC, if you will. But it's useless unless what? Hey, let me hear you. Hey, let me hear you. It's useless. Sorry, chat's locked down to members only. Let me hear you. It's useless without hardware. Is useless without software, right? So this is what strikes me as so odd. I know the big thing to do. I'm not a tech YouTuber. First of all, I'm Chris Pirillo. Second of all, don't ever call me a YouTuber. Up and until the point I work for Google, or Google acquires my company, not this one, the one that I'm building. It's not for sale yet. If anybody from Google's watching, they're not. So, okay, now where was I? I went too far off the beaten path. Hey, come on. If you've never watched me do a video before, I'm radically different. I was talking about people who are not like me. They talk about the hardware, and I'm all like, I get it, and I understand the value, but I can read a spec sheet, okay? I can see a photo. I get it, and so a lot of it is lost on me. 99% of the videos done around new technology these days, I get why people like them. It's just not me. So I understand that software would be worthless without hardware as well. But it's the software experience that ultimately makes everything go. And let me put a finer point on this. I've used this example before as well, so we don't have a drinking game for that yet. Me and everybody who's tuned in. You could have a great piece of hardware. Great, amazing. But a horrid piece of software, and tell me how that experience is. Well, it's got all the specs. It's the fastest thing around. But the software written for it, it can't handle it. It's unoptimized. It works. It's functional, but have you ever used one of those set-top boxes? I mean, the hardware is ample, right? I'm sure it's got hardware, but the software experience is horrendous. But you can have a lackluster piece of hardware coupled with amazing software, and it's an amazing experience because the software is able to keep up with the hardware. Do you understand the difference? That's why software is always going to be more powerful in this equation. Google is absolutely right for pushing the ball forward on this, and I realize a lot of you nerds are going to be kicking and screaming all along. Whatever you scream like. I don't know. I can't hear you. I don't want to hear you scream. This is space. No one can hear you scream. So the hardware conversation is really tedious for me. And when I was talking, because I said, the iPhone was, I think it was just a brief mention, maybe even yesterday, that caused more than one of you to go, but, Chris, but, keep your butt to yourself. No, don't keep your butt to yourself. If you got a butt, if you want to rub your butt in my Twitter feed, go ahead and do that. I'm giving you amazing visuals right now, aren't I? What I saw a few times over, and this is really what prompted me to set the topic for this video, because I don't like mistruths. It was suggested that no, the iPhone won because it had a capacitive touchscreen and multi-touch, and you didn't have to use a stylus. I will grant you this: that certainly did go a long way, no doubt about it. Up until that point, a lot of those screens were resistive, which is exactly how I felt to any new piece of hardware. I resisted. I'm like, I don't want it. I don't want it. It's not going to be great. There's no possible way it can be great. Why? So I will grant you that. But I will underscore it with this. How many devices have you had in recent years that had capacitive touchscreens? It may have stood out back then. But with those capacitive touchscreens, a lackluster software experience. Now, maybe you're not someone who sees software as a value. And you may very well be, because we're literally if you are, we are literally talking over each other. We're never going to see eye to eye on this. Never. You're never going to convince me. I'm never going to convince you. At which point I will tell you, I'm probably not the person you want to be listening to. Now, if you want deeper insight, if you want to talk about trends that actually matter, please keep listening. If you just want to hear the bubblegum drama of the day, dramatic hardware, go elsewhere. That's not me. Never will be. So I get that the hardware was valuable, but without software to go toe-to-toe and to extract all value out of that hardware, it would have been worthless. Worthless. Apple designed, well, at that point it was called the iPhone OS. It wasn't iOS until later. iPhone OS was optimized for that device. It was baked. That was the whole strategy, the winning strategy with Apple. They controlled the experience stem to stern. They still do. But it's different today because they no longer see software the way they used to. It's obvious. Painfully obvious. This isn't me hating Apple. This is me having lived it. When they released the iPhone, it was another phone, and phones weren't as big as they were today, but people, there were still mobile fans out there. It was absolutely different. But it was the software that made it sing. It wasn't the hardware. In fact, so many people lambasted the iPhone, myself included, the first iPhone, because it wasn't an amazing piece of hardware, and it was not spec'd out. It had a very low-resolution camera, couldn't take video, there was no GPS, and its contemporaries may have had GPS at the time. Some of these were just bleeding-edge technology, but it didn't have 3G. It was it was an Edge at that point, the first iPhone, and we had 3G phones out there. So a lot of people were saying, no, it's horrible because it doesn't have 3G. But you know what? That didn't stop the iPhone. And it wasn't because Apple was a company that was known for producing products that everybody wanted necessarily. Now, granted, people liked the iPod. The iPod was a standard. But in terms of a phone, a pocket computer, radically different, right? In the iPhone, I would say, as much as the iPod did well for Apple, Mac, to a very distant degree, it was the iPhone. That was it. It was the iPhone. It was different enough, but the software worked so astoundingly well. It was magic. By comparison, the design skeuomorphism, it was just, I can't even tell you if you didn't live it, because I know a lot of people who are on YouTube these days weren't even born when the first iPhone was released. Just think about that. That's how long I've been sitting here for longer than that. Well, I've gotten up and moved around since then. I'm just in this chair, by this desk and everything. So, people were lambasting. It's under spec. It doesn't have the specs. It doesn't have the specs. That was irrelevant. And if you want to know a time when I realized that hardware was irrelevant without accompanying software, that was a good moment in time for me. Because it's true. If the software couldn't go toe-to-toe with the hardware, it's, okay, it's neat, you can touch it. But the software just worked so astoundingly well. And though it was skeuomorphism, I thought, and others did as well, it was beautifully designed. Beautifully. It was pixel perfect. Pixel perfect. That's what the software was. Pixel perfect. Because people who were in charge had an eye for that. But over time, they lost their way and decided to show a massive amount of specs on the board behind them at the recent Apple keynote. That's a fact. I'm not making that up. I'm not biased. I don't hate Apple. They did it. Because they think that's what people want. Maybe they do. I'm not going to fault people for saying they want what they want, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to sit here and change my tune and believe that software should be a second class, software should be a second class citizen. It shouldn't. It never should have been. But don't go telling yourself, and certainly not me, that Apple won this game, won in a race that never ends, won with the first iPhone because of the hardware. That wasn't the case. At all. It was the software. That only improved over time. It was the software. Ran so well. Looked like it was designed with intent. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. Don't propagate that myth around me. It was never about the hardware with the iPhone. Was never about the hardware. That really agitated me. It did when I kept seeing that kind of just a few times over. Because if one person's saying it, then I see another person saying it, then another person. I gotta step in. I gotta say, low, hey, let's back this truck up. Okay, beep, beep, beep. Let's set the record straight. See, again, I know that people are going to see things differently, but that's history. What do you want? Go look in the forums. See how people were trashing the iPhone back then because they were talking all about the hardware. It didn't matter because it was the software that won people over. It was the software. It was the software. What else do you want me to say? So, not denying it. So you need both. But when software falls short, it doesn't matter what kind of hardware you have. That's my point. When the software falls short, doesn't matter what kind of hardware you have. When the software doesn't work well. Have you ever been on a computer and it crashed, or the app crashed and you weren't able to do what you needed to do? The hardware was fine. The software couldn't keep up. I can beat this drum all day long with example after example after example after example after example about why it's all about the software and intelligible design. Jake Jarvis, thank you for your super chat and also for being a member. And Adeline French, hey, what's going on? Another, I get to know names like from social media. So welcome aboard as a member. Do I ever miss the Apple ecosystem? Hate overusing that word. I don't. I think it's accurate. While using Macs after your transition, iMessage is the only thing keeping you on iOS. Is that correct? Did I miss it? So Jake, here's my feeling. It was painful for an hour, and then I got over it. I'm like, It was not a problem. Is not a problem. Apple's not going to change their tune. I don't think they should either. I think that's a good thing for Apple to maintain for all the right reasons. I'm not begrudging Apple their business model. I question the design of iMessage at this point. I mean, it's like icon overload animation jank, but okay. And yes, I'm even talking about the iPhone XS Max that I tested on. I'm like, wow. Okay, well, I guess they went far enough with iOS 12, and I'm sure tweaks will continue to be made. Like they've been telling me since iOS 7. Oh, don't worry, the software will improve. Okay, fool me once, shame on iOS 8. Fool me twice, shame on iOS 9. Fool me 3 times, need I go on? So no, it wasn't an impediment at all. But I always kind of keep myself loose and look for a best-in-class type of experience that might work not just for me but for people around me. And this transcends just me talking about that. As you know, I started email publishing back before anybody knew what email was, really. And I've been publishing email for decades. Thank you, Mediocre Tech, who is more than a mediocre techie. He's someone who's tweeted me as well. I get to know handles. I get to know names. Thank you for being a member. I appreciate the support. So I've tried a variety of email publishing services. I wanted to develop my own. I've actually spent money on development that went nowhere years ago. I've learned so much. But all the more reason why Creator Decks will have a solution for fellow creators that we need people like me, for people like most of you, creators need tools that don't exist the way they need to exist for creators. So as CEO, I'm going to make them happen because I need them. My Star Wars community ain't going to spin up on its own. So anyway, actually it kind of did. Star Wars Radar is up to like 47,000 followers on Twitter, something like that. 41,000. So I've tried a variety of email publishing services over the years. Now, Jake, I'm getting to, kind of coming back to what you're talking about. But this is relevant because this is the way I think. This is a tool, right? So I tried email publishing services, paid a lot, paid a little. I shelved everything because I felt I was paying too much in terms of what I was getting out of it. So then I learned earlier this year, about one platform that seemingly could work. I mean, it was well designed, well executed. It would cost me money, though, to use. And I'm like, is it worth it? Well, if I can get paying subscribers for it, maybe I can offset the costs. But I knew that it wasn't going to be a huge win. Very nice way of building a newsletter around links. And I will get to... Cat! Oh my God. Sorry. Hail, the gang's all here. So talk about a flashback. Hey, Cat! Glad to see you kicking. Well, don't kick me as much as you're inclined to do that remotely. I will finish my point, and then I will loop back and go back to you, Kat. And it's good to see you virtually, by the way. So I hope everyone doesn't mind, all hundreds of you. Like, we're having a private conversation right now. Just give us a little privacy. So I was on the platform. If you've subscribed to the email newsletter, you know what I'm talking about. You can still subscribe. ChrisPirillo.com redirects. The link is in the video description. You can tap it. But now it redirects to a different platform because the platform I learned about from a friend is free to use as an email newsletter platform. They only take a percentage of the paid subs, like YouTube. YouTube has memberships. They take 30% off the top. Anything here, 30. Just assume YouTube's getting 30% of it. That's just how it works, right? So it's a good exchange. I get a free video streaming service, a great way to connect with people, so I'm not complaining. It's a cost of doing business. So I moved to this other platform because it was better for me. It was free, and it only cost me a small percentage of the revenue generated from paid memberships. And we haven't had a lot of paid memberships for the newsletter. So I switched. There was going to be some friction. I was going to lose my archives from the previous host. I was going to lose some features, but I saved a small amount of frustration in not having to worry about covering that bill or basically being at a loss when I was publishing content. I'm still trying to get into a flow with putting some kind of cohesive newsletter together and written content that I think is valuable enough to share to paying members, including on YouTube or the patrons or the people who are subscribers on the newsletter. It's a free email newsletter as a start. But I switched platforms. It didn't take me too long to go, yeah, that's it. And I take the same approach with, let's say, iMessage or the messaging services or anything Apple has to offer, and learned that there's very little I miss. There's a few things I miss. Absolutely. I think share sheets are handled fantastically better on iOS than on Android in general. And when I talk about it, I'm talking specifically about my Pixel experience. But I will tell you, I had not been enchanted with a device or a software experience for the longest time. I kind of forgot what it was like to kind of really not be bothered by the device that I was using. And I felt that way with the Pixel 2 XL. So if that improved by any measurement, I'm sure I'm going to be just as happy moving forward if I'm able to land a Pixel 3. We shall see. So, okay, Kat, let me catch up. Hang on. Now you're a member? Great. Now she's going to kick my ass. So Kat said, she originally said, and I have to read it again because I missed it. We have complained so many times in the past that iOS icons are gross. Will Apple ever learn? That's another thing about Android, and I'm using Action Launcher, I think is the name of my launcher. You can change your launcher. I don't use the Pixel launcher. Action Launcher is fantastic. Oh man, and the developer is so responsive. I've already given him like 2 ideas that I think he's going to bake into future editions. That's my launcher, right? And I don't customize it this way, that way, or the other way. But you can change any icon on your home screen. It is that simple. It really is straightforward and simple. It's I feel my my ability to navigate software has quickened, not just because I think the animations are snappier because I increased that timing, but the system overall is more responsive. It's a smooth experience stem to stern. You do see frame drops every so often. They are anomalies. They are exceptions to a rule. Whereas I would find Apple would be prevalent, replete really is the best word. Frame drops, animation skips, largely because of the scheduler. If you want to do your own research, look up Scheduler and how Android's scheduler compares to iOS's scheduler. Check it out. In fact, AnonTech had a pretty good article on that explaining how the scheduler improved, but is not quite fully baked yet. It's got to improve. Will it? I don't know. Apple's not concentrating on software. So, yeah, you can change your icons. I don't know why I have to say that, but it's true. You can even put iOS-style icons if you wanted to. They don't. It doesn't bother me so much anymore. And thank you, Kat, for becoming a member. It's good to see you again. Tech Kerala came in with a super chat. A programmer will be a creator. I wouldn't say for Creator Decks, we're focusing on content creators, people like me, people who may have email newsletters, websites, want to start up a community, may generate revenue through sponsorships, partnerships, crowdfunding, who work with marketers and brands, who have to do business differently than the average person who may not know how to do business. We're effectively building those tools and those solutions. The roadmap that we have and the vision is certainly wide, but if it was easy to do, everybody would be doing it. And that's the way I look at it. I'm excited about the first tool. Really very excited. Even though I know that, we need to do this. We need to do this. It's like feature creep. No, Chris, let's do this. Then we do this. Then we do this. Okay. I'm the ultimate product guy. Ultimate. And the designers we have, c'est magnifique. Better than my French. I can't believe I actually attempted to do French. That's just great. I did French. Did you think you were going to get that tuning in today? So thank you everybody for tuning into this TLDR episode. I do like to cap it at about a half hour. I appreciate all the support. If you're just watching, thank you. If you remember to like the video, thank you. If you want to leave a comment that I may be able to address tomorrow's video, that's great too. Give me something to talk about. That's all I ask. That's all I can really ask. But I will tell you right now, I would say quite a huge portion of the people tuned into TLDR, I don't really have the exact percentage, but a bulk of the people tuned in right now are members. And that I deeply, deeply appreciate that. 73 now? 73? Did we make it? On our way to 100. I want to get to it. I really want it. I want TLDR to hit 1,000. That is my goal. So stick with me, and I will stick with you as long as I possibly can, and as long as you possibly can. But thank you for participating. Give me something to talk about tomorrow. Otherwise, you're just going to hear me talk about the same old thing. Give me a new thing to talk about. Give me something to disagree on. That's all you got to do to fire me up. Get me to disagree vehemently. I got retweeted by Johnny Ive today. Well, he's not the real Johnny Ive. He's the parody one. Because Razer tweeted a picture of their Razer 2 phone, but they used the iPhone to send it out. So I took a screenshot and replied to him. I guess I'm not the only one who picked up on that little detail, but hey, it's a big internet. You're gonna have duplicate things. So I'm gonna wrap things up. Not you. You probably don't need wrapped up. But maybe you do. Maybe you've been watching me unwrapped. I'm going to stop talking now. I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for being you so that I can be me. Got awkward. I should have just stopped. At this point, I'm going to leave you to your own devices. May the Force be with you.